It's a pleasure to have Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn. Senator, you and a few other Republican senators, you went behind a microphone and you condemned the lead up to what took place in Israel here, and you have condemned what's happened since then with Iran, with the Palestinian Authority, that the money has not been turned off, the spigot has not been turned off. And now President Biden's going to give a speech in about 35, 40 minutes. And it seems to me people are going to be gushing all over it. I can predict right now, but he's not going to say that he's going to take tough steps against Iran, that he's going to take tough steps against the Palestinians, where he's giving them another $100 million. What is your take on this?
My take on it is that Joe Biden should go out there tonight and say, we're going to do aid to Israel. We're not going to tie it to a bucket list of other things. He's going to freeze that $6 billion that, as you said, I was joined by other Republican senators in calling for that this week. He's going to place oil sanctions on Iran. He should say, look, we're tired of them making $1 billion a week selling oil. Biden eased those Trump-era restrictions, Mark, and they've gone from producing a few hundred barrels a day to 3 million barrels a day. They're bringing in $1 billion a week. If Iran gets $1, it is going into enriching uranium. It is going into terrorism. He should cut that funding to Gaza, as you said. He should cut funding to the UN Relief and Work Agency that is there for Palestinian refugees. He's already put $1 billion into that. And he should close our border. He should fire Jake Sullivan, and he should get out there and make the case of why the U.S. stands with Israel. And he should talk about who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, and he should lay out who these terrorist groups are, whether it's the Islamic Jihad or Hamas or Hezbollah or the Houthis or ISIS in Syria and Iraq or the Iran Revolutionary Guard or any of the 13 other smaller groups. And he should be very forthright in that. That is what leadership would be, laying it out and making it clear to the world where we stand.
And what about Qatar, who he seems to embrace like a close friend, that gives safe haven to the leaders of Hamas and also has spent over the years billions supporting Hamas? And what about Turkey, which also gives safe haven to the leaders of Hamas? I mean, we have hostages over there. The Hamas has killed 31 Americans. Why do we treat Qatar and Turkey like they're buddies? And why aren't we giving them a tough tongue lashing as well?
And this is why it would be so important for the president to lay it out and make it clear that we stand with Israel and stop trying to appease people. Look at where this appeasement has gotten us. Look at where that first Iran deal, coupled with this latest $6 billion ransom payment, the way we came out of Afghanistan, the way you've had the Taliban go back in there, all of these things show weakness. And when you see that weakness, we see what has happened, whether it is Qatar or whether it's Turkey or whether it is others that are in the region, whether it is countries that say, no, President Biden, we don't have time to meet with you this week. Thank you for coming over here and calling, but we're just too busy.
I look at this president, and of course he's going to be praised. He's going to say there's no distance between Israel and us, and we have their back, and what he said before, and he's going to talk emotionally and passionately, which will touch the hearts of a lot of people. But shouldn't there be some accountability here for the lead up to this? I mean, under our former President Trump, there was peace breaking out all over the place. The Abraham Accords, they've now been effectively destroyed. We almost had Saudi Arabia into that process. We had the Palestinian terrorists were in a box. Iran was on its back. It was crumbling. The people were rising up to try and take it out. All of that has been destroyed. All of that's been turned around. And yet you and I both know that after this speech, he will be praised. But won't he be praised by the same media that's taken the side of Hamas against Israel?
He is going to be praised by the media because he gets out there and he makes this speech. But Mark, I'm going to tell you, I think he's going to go out here and do an appeasement speech. I don't think he's going to go out here and lay it out and hold people to account and say, we're watching and we know what you've been doing, and it is not serving free people and freedom well. He needs to be that pointed when he gives that speech tonight. He needs to take some actions. You know, it's fine to talk about things, but let's take some actions. That's why freezing the $6 billion is important. It's why it is putting oil sanctions back on Iran, why that is important. And who is Iran selling that oil to? Russia and China. They are stockpiling oil. They're stockpiling it. And Iran is using that money to fund these terrorist organizations. You know, Mark, Iran gives their proxies, which I just rattled off. They give them about $100 million a year. And they supply Hamas, in addition to the $100 million, Hamas and Hezbollah are getting supplies and training and equipment and fuel and food and armor and ammo and weaponry. All of that is coming from Iran. So if you give them money, like I said, nuclear weapons and funding their proxies to go do their dirty work, that is where they put their money. So this is why you have seen Republicans step up and say, here are things we need to do right now. And being one of those being, we need to close that southern border, because under Joe Biden, you've had 151 terrorists this year come in. This month of October, you have had 30 Iranians, you've had 35 Pakistanis, you've had 100 Russians and 2,000 Chinese come across this border. And it is important that we know who's coming into this country and why they're coming into this country.
Senator, thank you very much. You've been steadfast, and you've been highly moral and outspoken, and God bless you, my friend.
Thank you. Take care.